Hey, what's up, everybody? Radex here, the one from 72, the ultra neutral, and I just want to bring attention to the weather, the alien weather warfare. I'm sure a lot of you have noticed, like, the weather has just become very, very bizarre. Well, if you actually look at the tall whites, right, and if you do the research on them, you'll come to find out that the sun on this earth is not hospitable to them. It doesn't react well to them. Think of, and this is going to be funny because when the tall whites do finally reveal themselves, which will be, the time will be ticking down really fast right after that. People will start looking at people who are albino, which is something I was thinking about. You look at the albinos, and two black people can have an albino child, two white people can have an albino child, two gingers can have an albino child. It don't matter what nationality you are. It just seems like every once in a while these rare children, these rare albinos just pop up where they're pure white. Where does that come from? That comes from the tall whites, because they genetically modified all of the humans anyhow. And we know that the sun is very harsh on them. We also look at the fact that animals who are out in a colder environment, like in the Antarctica, you have like the polar bears, you have, the snow leopards and the snow foxes and the snow hares, and they're all white, right? They're all like this very white, bleached white color. Well, that is exactly how the tall whites are as well. They're very, very white. They're very much like the albinos. But it's funny because the humans who have been very, just very awful, towards people who are albino, which I think they're beautiful people, but there's just been a lot of awful mistreatment towards them. In fact, over in Africa, there are tribes that when an albino child was born, they would kill it immediately because they had superstitions about it. Well, maybe they were actually on par. Maybe they knew about the tall whites. I'm not saying that they did I'm not saying that they actually did or didn't. I'm just saying it could be a possibility that that's what they were told a long, long time ago, and so that's the reason why they did it. Or it could just be like what you would think is just like a racism ignorance, But anyhow, which is all around the world. Everybody suffers from that. Everyone, all cultures. There's no cultures that are exempt from racism and ignorance. None of them. But anyhow, so when you look at the weather that's going on right now, it's very, very cold, right? Well, you also know that there's bases in the Antarctic. We know that it goes all the way back to Nazi Germany in the early 40s when they were going over into the Antarctic. Well, now that we've had Linda Morton Howe come out and say, yeah, the tall whites have been here since 1972, at least that's what she was told, now it confirms that 1972 time hack for me. But anyhow, we'll get past that. So Linda Morton Howe has also said, look, the tall whites are here and they're working with the United States government, which explains a lot of the crazy shit that's been going on since 1972. It explains a lot of that stuff. And one of those things that explains about is the fact that Operation Popeye, which I figured out because I was talking about it yesterday. I was like, why the hell do they call Operation Popeye? Because they were seeding the clouds and there's this big, what people call chemtrails, And I was thinking, oh my gosh, Popeye's pipe. If you remember when Popeye would smoke his pipe, there would be these big clouds of smoke that would come out of it. That's the reason why, from the smoke, his pipe, that's the reason why they called it Operation Popeye. I'm pretty sure that's probably the reason why. But, so Operation Popeye was if you don't know about that, it was a cloud seeding program that the CIA was doing in Vietnam during the Vietnam War, and they were seeding the clouds and causing weather warfare on the Vietnamese. Well, so anyhow, yeah, so they definitely are blocking out the sky, which is also funny because in 1972, when that became in front of the House and they said they were going to stop running the Operation Popeye program, that was also the last time there were ground troops in Vietnam. So 1972 in Vietnam, huge links to a lot of that stuff. But what I'm trying to say here is the fact that these are fingerprints. As Tintin would say, these are fingerprints of the crime, right? And the crime is that they have to block out the sun. They have to make this planet colder, a little bit colder environment for them when they eventually come out of, the shadows per se. When the tall whites eventually come out of the shadows per se, and they say, hey, look, we're doing this and that and whatever they're going to say. I don't know how all that's going to play out. I don't want to speculate on how that's going to play out because I have no idea. I can't tell you what they're thinking. All I can tell you is when you start seeing things that start adding up to patterns, and you start listening to stuff like the one guy, it wasn't Strieber, I can't remember what the guy's name is, but there's this one guy who said that he actually worked with the tall whites. Now, he could be full of shit. I don't know. Maybe he's telling the truth. But one of the things that he said about the tall whites is that, you know, the sun bothers them here on this planet. It's hard for them. The sun is hard on them. And I'm just like, you know what? Actually, that does make sense. When you look at their skin, you look at their hair, look at the fact that they have these pale blue eyes, it makes sense that it's harder on them. But it also makes sense that they would enjoy a cooler climate as well, right? And now the planet is being cooled down. We're seeing that, right? Like, there's people posting all kinds of crazy videos about, you know, look, it's snowing and it shouldn't be snowing. It's never snowed this time of year in the environment that they're at. It's getting colder, it's getting colder. And then we'll get these bouts of like extreme crazy heat. But the bouts of heat are like something's been, like the way it's like the atmosphere has been suppressed so much with such longer winters, you know, and colder winters and these long drawn out winters, that when the heat finally gets to break through, it just intensifies and it hits the earth really, really hard because it was kind of bottled up, you know what I mean? So this makes a lot of sense for the tall whites environment, right? It makes a lot of sense for them. It also makes sense why they don't spend that much time on Earth, right? They come here, they do the things with their experiments with the human species, and then they bounce and they get out of here. They come back and they drop after everything's, you know, after they wipe out everything, they kill off all the people and take the ones that they want to take. They come back and they do it all over again. But I don't think that they spend a whole lot of time here on this environment, on this planet. It's the same thing as when you watch these movies where they go to, where they make it like humans are going to other planets. They don't stay out on the planet surface too long, like where they showed like on the Martian and stuff like that. That they can go there, they can terraform, they can do things there, but they don't want to spend much time sitting there just hanging out on Mars, you know, basking in Mars' sun, you know, or, you know, enjoying the weather. And it's the same thing when the tall whites come here. They don't come here to enjoy the weather. They're coming here to do their experiments and do the things that they got to do. So yeah, when you look at the weather warfare that's going on, and you look at the way the chemtrails and all that stuff, that all goes back to 1972, the same year that the tall whites came here, same year was the last time the man walked on the moon. You know, you're told not to go out, you know, to leave, you know, this atmosphere and stuff. So it makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. And this video went a lot longer than I thought it would. And with that, enjoy the rest of the time that you have left.